Good morning and welcome to Story Time. Today I'm going to be telling the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, and this is one of the stories under Power of Three. So listen to Jack and the Beanstalk and see what you think when you see the power of three in this story. Once upon a time, there was a woman. She was a poor woman. She lived in a run-down cottage. She lived with her son, Jack. Everybody say, "Hi, Jack." Hello. We're going to put him there next to Mom. Jack and his mother didn't have very much money at all. In fact, the only thing that they had that was worth anything was their cow. So it came to pass that Jack's mother told Jack, "Now take the cow and go take him to town and sell him. Make sure you get a good price because it's the last thing we have to sell." So Jack and the cow went walking to town. But before they got to town, they met a stranger. And this stranger said to Jack, "Oh, that's a very fine cow you have there." Jack said, "Thank you. I'm taking it to market to sell because I need money." The stranger looked at him and said, "Oh, I don't think it's money you'll be needing. I have what you need." "What's that?" asked Jack. "I've got something magic. 3 magic beans." Jack was a little skeptical, but he said, "Jack, you plant these beans and you'll discover something amazing. You'll find out what happened to your father's treasure before you were born." So, Jack was amazed to hear that this stranger knew his story, the story of his father going missing before he was born. So he made the deal. He gave the stranger the cow, and he took the magic beans and took them home to his mother. Now, what do you think his mother said when Jack told her they were magic beans? What would your mother say if you traded a cow for beans? Jack's mother was very upset. She tossed those beans right out the window, and they landed in the garden outside. Jack and his mother went to bed hungry that night. But those beans were in fact magic. And from those beans grew an amazing beanstalk. And it grew and grew and grew all the way up to the clouds. When Jack woke up the next morning and he saw the beanstalk, well, he knew the man was right. This was magic. So Jack started to climb the beanstalk, and he climbed it higher and higher and higher and all the way into the clouds. And when Jack got to the top of the beanstalk, he saw a great palace in the distance in the clouds, and he walked there. And when he got to the palace in the clouds, he knocked on the door. And a woman answered, and she said, "What do you want?" And Jack said, "Well, I've been walking a long way. I'm very hungry. May I come in and have a bite to eat?" The woman looked around. "Well, I don't get any visitors, so I'd like to have you sit and talk. But my husband's going to be home soon, so I don't think I should let you in." Jack said, "Please, please, I'm really hungry. How about just a drink of water?" And so the woman let Jack in. She sat him down, and she fed him, and she gave him a big glass of milk. Can we all pretend to drink our milk together? Ready? Good milk. But just as he was wiping his face with his napkin and getting ready to leave, they heard a noise. "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." Well, that didn't sound like a very nice poem to Jack. And the woman said, "Oh, that's my husband. He's home. Quick, hide." So she hid Jack in a big pot in the kitchen. And her husband came in, and he was a giant. And this giant sat down and ate his lunch and drank his milk. Let's drink our milk again. Ready? Glug, 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 glug. Good stuff. And he sat down at his table, and he brought out a golden harp. And he brought out a goose. And he brought out a treasure chest. And he said, "Harp, play for me. Goose, lay for me." And he started to look through his jewels. Well, as the harp played sweetly, the giant began to doze off. He started to fall asleep. And when he was asleep, Jack came out of his hiding place, and he picked up the golden goose. And he snuck back to the beanstalk and went down, down, down to where his mother was. "No more giant. Let's get out, Mom." And when his mother saw Jack with the goose, she was amazed. The goose laid a golden egg, and Jack took that golden egg, and he took it to town, and he traded it for a brand new cow. Yeah. So now Jack and his mother had a cow and a goose, and that goose laid golden eggs. And they went to sleep with very full bellies that night. The next day, when Jack woke up, he went up the beanstalk again. Up, 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 all the way to the castle in the clouds. And he walked to the castle, and he knocked on the door. And he said very politely, "Excuse me, miss, do you remember me? I'd like to come in and have a little talk with you again, and maybe a bite to eat." Well, the giant's wife, as you may know, was really missing company, so she said, "Of course you can come in. Jack, come in, come in." And so Jack came in and he sat down and he spoke with her, and they had tea and they had cookies, and should we have another big glass of milk? And a big glass of milk. Let's dunk our cookie in the milk. Okay, ready? Drink it. Glug, 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 glug. Good milk. All right. Oh, so full. And just at that moment, fee, fi, fo, fum. That's right. The giant was back again. So Jack hid. He was hidden, hidden, hidden. And the giant came home and he said, "I want my harp. Play for me, harp." And he sat at his table, looking through his jewels, and as the harp played, he got more and more sleepy. And soon he was totally asleep. And then, who came out of his hiding place? Jack did. And he snuck up onto the table and he took the treasure chest of jewels and he ran back down the beanstalk to his mother. Now Jack and his mother had what? They had the golden goose that laid eggs, golden eggs. They had a cow. Now they had treasure chest full of jewels. Oh my goodness, they are doing so much better. I'm glad they took those magic beans. They went to bed, and the next morning, when Jack got up, for a third time, he climbed that beanstalk all the way to the palace in the sky. And he walked to the palace and knocked on the door. And who opened the door? Can you guess? That's right, the giant's wife. And she said, "Oh, Jack, it's so good to see you again. I was afraid you wouldn't come back. The giant was pretty angry yesterday." And she sat Jack down and fed him, and they talked and laughed and had a big glass of milk. Ready? Let's drink our milk. Ah, so good. And then what did they hear? Fee, fi, fo, fum. Oh, the giant was definitely grumpy today. So Jack hid away. And the giant said, "Magic harp, play for me." And he started to fall asleep. He started to snore. And that's when Jack crept out of his hiding spot. And he crept onto the table and he took the golden harp. But as soon as the music stopped, up jumped the giant. And he said, "You there, stop!" And Jack did not stop. He ran and he ran and he ran until he got back to the beanstalk. And he ran down, came down the beanstalk, and he cut it down. Boom, boom, boom. Down went the beanstalk. and down went the giant. And the giant turned into a great big boulder. So now, Jack's mother and Jack and the cow and the goose that laid the golden eggs and the magic harp and the jewels were all down on the farm with a great big boulder at one side that used to be the giant. But now Jack and his mother are living very, very comfortably. The end. Thank you for tuning in with me. Did you pay attention? Were there 3 things? Jack had 3 magic beans. And Jack went up the beanstalk 3 different times. That's the power of 3 in stories. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.